one thing I did, and that's the thing I guess I'm most proud of, is that literally from day one, once I was, okay, this animation thing is my job. And I always treated it as such. And I was very, I inherited a great work ethic from both of my parents. But I always swore I would never get, because most of the people I worked with, animation was their passion. And, so they would get upset if they didn't agree with what the director wanted. And sometimes they were right, but I would always say, just do what he wants, just do it. But they would work really late, but get all frustrated and do it their own way, even though it was going to get rejected, and they'd just be miserable. And for me, it was just like, no, I'm just gonna do my job. I wasn't just punching the clock. Sometimes you had to work late because it's the nature of the industry, whatever. But I'm never gonna just like put my painting aside and wait for it to magically happen, And even in the earliest years, we used to be, when we first started in that company, they were in this huge warehouse, like not in the city. It was an old Coleco warehouse, and but with these wood floors that were all creaky and everything. But across from where the big studio was, the animation studio, they were renting out space. I think had a place for, I don't remember if it was 85 or 185 bucks a month, but they were practically giving it away to rent. This was a good sized room with a sink in it. And so I just set up a studio in there, and I would literally every night, I didn't have any kids. I was married, but yeah, and living fairly close by, but in our apartment, I couldn't really have a studio set up,
Mm-hmm.
So I would just go across to my studio like every night and put in a couple of hours. I just set up a little still life, and I was mostly working in watercolor then, but a little bit of oil too. But just so I was doing the like piano scales, like I called it, in animation by day, and then going and been putting together work that I could send off to these shows, and it was those shows that was the impetus to get me into my first US gallery, which was Brazier Fine Art, because I just sent, they were having the Oil Painters of America regional show there. And I think it was, he was a guy who was from Richmond, great portrait artist. His name's escaping me. He did great portraits of Tom Wolfe, and it'll come to me. But anyway, he gave me an award. I don't think it was best of show or anything, but it was an award in that. And then so they were inquiring, like, because being in Canada, and again there, you didn't like, the internet existed, but not really. It wasn't really that useful yet, But they got in touch with me to possibly show in the gallery. And once I sent some stuff, and it started to sell really quickly, and it just spurred a bunch of other American galleries to come to me, So that's never been, but that was because while I was working in animation, I wasn't just sitting there, oh, maybe a gallery will get in touch with me to, even though I'm not painting at all.
Yeah.
So the fact is, and I've heard some people say, like, don't get an art related job, because then you'll be too burnt out to do your art at night, But for me, like I said, it's like my art related job happened to be like very useful in, putting in, I don't know, like Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours rule, like anyone who's mastered something, and he talks about the Beatles or whoever else, they've done it for at least 10,000 hours.